West Michigan. This is Grand Tap Media Business TV. My name is Pamela Kai. I'm your host. The spirit of the show is to introduce West Michigan to all the businesses, leaders, and nonprofits that help us thrive in our lives. We are in the studio of WCET today, and we have a very special guest for you. If you're a nonprofit or you're struggling to get some things done in your nonprofit because of cost-wise, this is the guy you want to meet. So I want to welcome to the show real quickly Professor David Lange from Grand Valley University, and he's going to tell us why you want to connect to him if you are have a nonprofit and want to get some things done. So thank you so much, Professor Lange, for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
We've known each other. Let's just tap in here. We're going to talk as though we are having a conversation. I know this is short notice. You had some other things going on, and you said I'm available. I'm like, head on over. I'm in the studio.
Yes.
So, okay, we're going to talk about nonprofits and what happens with nonprofits when they take on big projects. They want to kind of even pivot. Right now, during the COVID, they realize they have to go virtual, but the cost and all that is happening. So share with us what you could offer them and what you actually, your students do every, is it once a year, one semester, every January?
No, we do it both in the fall and the winter semester. So the projects will start.
And so share us a little bit about that, what those projects
and what they are is I lead the capstones in two majors at Grand Valley State, and that is the information systems majors, which are basically a blend of business and CIS.
Okay.
And also I teach the capstone in the IT major. Okay, and what we do for the capstone is we want to give them, go beyond the classroom and actually get them to experience real world scenarios.
Okay.
Because that can be very different than the classroom at times. We try to stay current in the classroom, but just deal with people. Oh, why can't you get me this? Oh, we never imagined this would go wrong. Okay, and we have them go to nonprofits.
Did I turn this on? Hold on a minute. I might have hit this. There it goes. Sorry. Sorry. I'm doing it myself, right?
Okay.
Okay.
They actually go into nonprofits.
And it's only nonprofits. You targeted.
That's the projects that I do. We
Okay.
also have a group with the computer science students that Dr. John Engelsma and Dr. Robert Adams also deal with corporations that want to come with them, and those are strictly computer science, big programming jobs that you can deal. But I have, and that's the way we work. So many of my students have come to me over the years and say, I want to change the world.
Yes,
I want to change the world.
Right.
And that's great. I love their passion. And then I say, good. Now do it one little point at a time. And we have worked with over 100 nonprofits here in West Michigan and helped them improve efficiency. We've done a couple projects for Kids Food Basket that when we worked with that organization, we were finally able to get them up and rolling with better data. Right. They were able to expand their reach because it was the data that was holding them up, and they were able to do a few hundred a day. And once we went live, they were able to do more. They were able to double the number of children that they actually feed. We did a project for John Ball Zoo. Okay. We made a mobile app for them so that I wasn't aware, that nearly every school kid has a cell phone. And
really? Okay.
Yeah, and they said, oh yeah, all the kids come do school tours and they want to say, where is it? So we made up an app that they would have questions and answers, and let's go to the monkeys, it's over there.
Oh, so it's kind of a map.
Yes.
In the zoo.
Yeah, plus a bunch of questions. And we're feeding the monkeys at 2 o'clock. Oh yeah, so let's go around and see them feed the monkeys. Mm-hmm. Well, we've worked with over 100 different nonprofits. And I tell my students, go in there, look at what they're doing, okay? Try to figure out if there's a way that with their skill level, and these are senior students that are, if they don't do it right, they don't graduate. Because it's their capstone. It's the hardest class they should ever teach. It's taken all 4 to 5 years of schoolwork and putting it all into one. And then looking at a project and saying, wow, we can improve this. We can improve that. And we worked with government agencies. We've worked with Kent County Social Services. We've worked with the West Michigan Human Trafficking Task Force.
And you really specialize. It's really is behind, I guess, the tech stuff. It's over people's heads. It's big projects. It could be very costly.
Yeah.
They start setting this stuff up, and so nonprofits put that kind of stuff off when they don't have the funding.
Right.
Right.
Well, when you look, and these projects will run anywhere between 800 and 1,000 hours of work that the students will throw into these projects in one semester.
Yes.
And if you look at something like that and say, well, the average cost of tech work is anywhere between $50 and $75 an hour on the low end, then you're looking at $50,000 to $75,000
Yeah.
of basically donation.
Well, they saved me. Well, let's just talk. You took on a nonprofit that I own as Keim Concept, and you went in and you cleaned up my domains. Some people have bought these domains years ago, and you said, Pamela, I said, well, I have some domains we've been paying for, just cha-ching, cha-ching.
Right.
And you're like, you don't need this one, you don't need this one, you don't
Right.
need this one. And you probably saved me hundreds of dollars a year.
Right.
But I was, when it first came up, I was getting advice from other people. You need, all of these domains to protect yourself that they'll take from you. And honestly, they really don't. You said it's .org and .com. That's all you need.
Right.
Right? We had the net and we had the USA. And but
You
that's
don't
what
need
people were advising me.
Right.
So these little things that you could look into what they're paying for on a regular basis.
Right.
You said, we can save you some money here.
Right.
You don't need these.
Well, and even a lot of times we'll take people and take organizations on, and I try and look at the projects first and say, okay, that's a little too much, or wow, that's not enough, let's make it a bigger project. But it could be updating their computers,
Right.
getting them deals. A lot of people don't know about TechSoup, a lot of nonprofits, and how with that you can get virtually free, very, very low cost, like 98% off for all nonprofits. You can get Windows and set up Office, and we work with health centers.
Well, you guys were able to find me Office, Office software. Office, what do they call it? You get with a Word and
Office 365,
yes,
Microsoft
and,
Office.
yeah,
yes.
and I was paying for that out of my own pocket, and you were able for my nonprofit. So you're able to get you this from tech.
Mm-hmm.
Tech, and I was like, he told me the price. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Because you're just so used to just letting that roll over on your debt.
Yep.
Running a
Yeah.
nonprofit,
Very
correct?
much. And the nice thing is when my students do these projects and they say that, oh my word, more kids are going to get fed, or more people are going to be treated in a health facility, and I'm like, and now you understand you are changing the world. And it
Yeah.
makes the kids just feel so good.
Yeah.
We did a big project for Love Inc., which is
Really? Like what?
that's been a few years ago now, but it was developing a huge database and everything, and it was so successful that the senior leadership flew in from Minneapolis because my team didn't know. I knew about it a week before, but I said, and by the way, here's the senior leadership from Minneapolis. They flew in for this revealing and this, and the organization said, yeah, we like this software so much, we're going national with it. And the students just, really?
Oh my God, isn't
Yeah,
that cool?
it was so good.
Well, and things too, when I was meeting with a team, it's a team of four.
A 4 or
students.
5, depending on the semester.
Right, it's 4 or 5, and they come in, we met, this is before COVID hit.
Yeah.
Right? We met a few times.
Boy, that changed a lot.
Yeah, they meet with them at least once a week, and
Yeah.
you go over the things, and what I found that was so cool is that they would just they all open up their laptops, and they are literally fixing stuff
Things.
as fast because they are so techy. And to us to figure out that they're not afraid to open up and start working with the software, working with code, and each one kind of had their little some worked with websites, and one was more of like the leader of the group.
Yes.
And then it was amazing. They all had their specialties, and they were like, I did an online store, so the guy was like, this, and I was just watching him like it would take me hours.
Yeah.
Hours
And
to
time
figure this
and something like
out.
that is money, but these kids feel so
Comfortable.
just comfortable, and they also they want to help people.
Right.
And I said, great, kids, you want
They're
to
not
change the
afraid to
world?
click.
Do it. Change the world.
Right,
Make
right.
these nonprofits, because nonprofits, in essence, are there to help others. And if you can get a nonprofit to do more, whether it be a camp, we've done so many camps to help them with their finances, analyze their finances. We've worked with Goodwill. We've worked with the Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. We've done so many projects, and the kids always feel, wow, we actually did something. It's not just schoolwork.
Right. Well,
we
a lot of
helped
them are
somebody.
struggling.
Oh, yes,
just
very much they're
the
struggling.
charity-wise, what I was saying is, cha-ching, with nonprofits, you want to get that revenue in where people give the donations.
Right.
Don't you find? What do you find mostly when you're looking? Like you interviewed me, and so and you interview everyone you take on.
Yes.
To make sure they qualify.
Yep.
And
I
they
want to
get
make sure it's a
$1,000.
big enough project.
Right.
And it's a reasonable project.
Yeah,
Some
right.
projects are way too big. And
Have you ever split it up though? You did
Oh,
some of
my-
it,
several
and
times.
and do it again.
do
Do the other side, do like, oh, we can go this far this time, and then we can put you on the list and get it pleated.
yeah, we actually did a wonderful project for a great nonprofit here in town called Welcome Home Baby.
Where's
And
that?
where is it?
Well, what is it?
They actually work with they meet with all new mothers in town and make sure that they have the resources they need to handle their child. Now, they're a lot of paper-based right now.
Okay.
And looking at this project, I said, wow, this project's quite large. So we spent one entire semester, a team of 4, just trying to plan the project. Okay, how's it going to be? It's going to be all tablet-based. It's going to be on this database. It took us a semester to finally completely analyze it.
Wow.
Yes, it was a tough project. And then the next semester, they built it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you did. Thornell is he's from Veterans Assistance, West Michigan
yeah.
Veterans Assistance Program. I was going to say, anyways, and I set him up, and I called him, and I said, "How do you like your new website?" Because they weren't putting any money into that kind of stuff, and he goes, "Oh, we love it," and they were able to go in and donate and things like that. When you meet with people, what do you notice most? I mean, you've met with a lot of nonprofits. What
Yeah.
are nonprofits struggling with most to you that need?
The nonprofits that I work with most of the time are smaller nonprofits.
Okay.
Okay, you have great nonprofits like the American Cancer Society, American Heart, YMCA, but they
Yeah.
have plenty of funding.
Right.
Okay, so they have their own IT people. But you go to these nonprofits, and there's hundreds of them out there because America has needs.
Mm-hmm.
We're one of the wealthiest countries in the world, but there's still a lot of needs.
Right.
And fortunately, these nonprofits fill in and meet these. I find that most of the nonprofits are so driven by their
Mission?
by their mission.
There
That's
you
the
go.
perfect word that
Yeah,
I'm looking for.
mission.
By their mission, that they forget that, wow, today's world is driven by social media and web and that. But rather than spending, and some of that can be very expensive to develop.
Yes,
and they don't
it
want to
is.
spend $10,000 or $50,000. It's not hard to spend $50,000 on a website. Not hard at all.
Yeah, because
And-
to make it easy, it costs money.
Right.
To make it friendly. Where
Right.
you go, the easier you got to make it, there's a techie person behind it
Right.
making that click.
Right.
Go boom, boom,
Right.
boom, boom, boom.
And so
right?
it's not. And what about the database behind it? How are you using the data? What reports can you crank out? And they're like, but we don't have the money to do that. But if you did, maybe we could become more efficient and even better at our mission.
Yes.
And that's what
you find out.
that's
right?
what I try and say. What is it that you're struggling with?
Right. And a lot of it, I think, too, is
And some of
just
them don't
really-
even know what they're struggling with.
Do you happen to just, you walk them through the process and you ask them these questions, and then they discover, do you have this? No, we don't have a system set up for that. Do you have a system reaching out to your donors? Do you have maybe a newsletter? Are you
Right.
sending this out?
Newsletter,
You're like,
yeah.
oh my God, that's way too techy.
You have a
for,
member list that's online. We're working with a nonprofit this semester that hadn't updated their website in over 10 years.
Yeah.
And they had dozens, I don't know, maybe hundreds of dead links. And it's like, so the students went in and completely revamped their website and took out all those dead links, and that will help attract traffic.
Right.
Which is what
Making
you
it
want.
in there. Right. And so, okay, so these techies come in, you meet every week, and they kind of walk you through the process. They set up deadlines to get things done.
Oh, absolutely.
And you're approving all of this, and you are what? You're monitoring this? How are you involved in
Every
this?
single week, yes. Every week they meet with me. And after the first couple weeks, they meet with me and set up, okay, here's what we're going to do. Here's our 6 or 7 or 8 requirements to get this project done.
Okay.
And here's the chart and our project planning. And I said, great, I'll accept this, get to work. And then every week they need to meet with the nonprofit.
Okay.
And they hand out a business report that says, here's what we've done. Because I want them to say, it's like driving a car. You don't really just do this, you do this.
Right.
And
right.
if you miss a week or two, you're going to go off the road, right?
Right.
And I say, okay, meet with them. Here's what we've done. Okay, is this what we've agreed to? Do you like that? Yes. Okay, here's what we've done this past week. Well, that isn't quite what I wanted. You see how it's like driving a car.
Yes.
And then they will also say, well, here's what we plan on doing this week. And that's why over a 10 or 12 week period, you've met with them 10 times and they've done a lot of work. And then finally at the end, they will write up a beautiful owner's manual or
that
user's
is the
manual.
best.
Yeah,
That
a
is the
user's manual.
best. I became friends with them. I was like their mother, because I'm older, right? And I'm like, so what are you doing this weekend? What do you mean you know, especially we were going through COVID, and a lot of them were struggling trying to find positions out of college because of COVID.
Yeah.
You know, and they were all excited when we met them in February. They all had, possibilities, and then of course understand that went COVID.
Oh yeah.
So, but I became friends with them, and I would be like inquisitive, So what did you guys do last weekend? It was all a bunch of, majority of them were men, boys, young boys, and they were just like, I was just all that. So why don't you do this? I was just like a mother.
Yeah.
I love that, But they met with me. They walked me through it. I loved watching them click, click, click. They set up an online store. A lot of people need to sell something.
Yep.
Or maybe it's a donor base. Maybe they just need to start getting into selling T-shirts and
Right.
bring in a revenue. So
Right.
what can we do to get in another revenue stream for you?
Yep.
And a lot of people struggle with that because we aren't going to events right now.
No.
We need to figure this out. Maybe you need a whole virtual meeting to meet with you have somebody sit with you. And some people, I needed somebody to sit with me my first time. I did my
Right.
virtual meeting, right? How do we record this and keep it in our archive so we have it
Yeah.
to look back on? I mean, that's stuff that you could help them learn Zoom.
Yep.
This is how we can do
yeah.
Zoom, and we can do all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, and other organizations we've worked with, we've had students set up something where, hey, we need volunteers, and we'll set up, here's the site, here's where 2 volunteers are needed on this day and this time, and to do what? And boom, as you click on it, okay, now you're accepted. Now we have enough volunteers for that one. That one's full. Okay.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Well, Zoom is big, and I
Zoom
need
is
to help
real
with that.
big too.
It is. How to record, how to bring on people. I think some of them have gone. I've gone to Toastmasters where you went into different meetings, and that even looks
Breakout
scary.
sessions.
Breakout sessions. A lot
Yes.
of people need to do that, and they don't even do it because they don't want to look stupid to
Well,
employees. They don't know how to do it.
But
know?
it's not looking stupid. It's just being naive of what's out there,
Right.
and we all have to learn. But these young men and women, you said it's majority, and it runs about 80% men.
I think they're techie people. I think they like that. They like all of them I've worked with. They loved working on projects.
Yes.
They always wanted to work on a big project on that one. But I would even think offering up these techie people to sit through a leader's, who's ever in charge of the Zoom. Because our biggest fear is where it's going to go wrong. And you're in charge of it because you're the one that launched it out, right?
Yes.
So you're the one in charge. And so they sit through and they're like just sitting there like, okay, we're going to walk through this meeting and do this conference little thing, and we're going to bring it because I think we need to get connected. And we're not coming back together anytime soon, right?
Well, let's hope this vaccine is released and they're effective and we can
Right.
get back our society. But yeah, I just taught a class yesterday that one of my students, because she had gone home for Thanksgiving,
Right.
and she's in Greece, and she was still in class. It just happened to be
In Glass? She's in lockdown?
no, she's in Athens, Greece. She's back at home,
Okay.
but she was still in my class.
Wow. Oh,
And
I
that's
see.
what I'm
She's
saying.
friends
And
with
that's
her.
what the
Okay.
beautiful thing about
Yeah.
Zoom is that now, because we didn't come back to campus after Thanksgiving, I have students in the Detroit area, in Chicago. I have one down in Texas. I have one, and I'm like, so how are all of you doing? And but it's nice because we still have the ability to have a class and ask questions and comment. And so Zoom allows us, and it's not just Zoom, there's other platforms out there that you can do this. And
well, Zoom is the most popular, you know that.
Yes.
And that had some hiccups in it under security reasons.
Oh yeah,
and
early
let's talk
on.
about that. You're allowing these people to have access to your database, and they sign a confidentiality.
Yes.
So kind of go through that process that's what you're thinking, who's out there like,
Yes.
I don't want to open up my database to a bunch of young kids.
The students will sign a confidentiality agreement.
Okay.
That everything they receive will be confidential, and they also sign something that I got to tell nonprofits. When you pay for someone to do a project, it's much like pictures for a wedding or an event. You're actually paying time for the photographer, but who actually owns the photos?
Right.
It's the photographer that still owns it. Well, that's called intellectual property rights. So if you were to hire an organization to develop software, they still own the rights.
Right.
Well, the students, in addition to signing confidentiality agreements, also agree to give the organization intellectual property rights, so the students can't come back in 2 years ago, we want some more payment for this. So I'm trying to protect both sides.
Sure.
I want to protect my
That's a good
students.
learning curve,
Yes,
to understand.
I want to protect the students from any lawsuits and that. So there's an agreement that the university signs with the nonprofits, and they also. I want to protect my nonprofits because they have to be able to respect me, respect my students, respect the university that we are doing. And I'll tell you this: I've done 140 projects, and all but 5 have been very successful.
Yeah.
And that's a very, very, very high percentage.
It is.
And you know, sometimes
even the manual.
Oh
A
yeah.
lot of times you're not getting. You get several manuals on each project. You know what I'm saying? They're coming in and they're giving you a manual, and you're like, okay. And they actually had a class with me to how to read the manual.
Yeah.
What
and
to
the
do.
manual should be, when it's done, I tell them, pretend like they don't know anything like what you do.
Right.
That's part of our program, is to be able to communicate with non-techie people on techie subjects. And so the manual is, okay, if you want to add a new picture to your website, how do you do it? And there's pictures and screenshots all along. That's a manual, because I tell the students, when you're gone, how are they going to continue to work on this?
Right.
So there's a personally designed manual just for the organization that they can, and they usually run anywhere between 70 and 100 pages long.
100 pages long. Okay, so how? So if you were thinking about talking to a nonprofit, what would they do? This call? How do they reach you, Professor Lange? I mean, if you're thinking of a project, you might have to think, okay, what have we put on the shelf? And maybe they need to walk that project with you, and maybe it was put on the shelf 3 or 4 years ago, and you could sit down and say, we could make this even better.
Yes.
You know what?
Yeah.
We definitely could make this better, and we could even show you a faster way to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so
Absolutely.
do you get, when you're sitting with them, walking them through the project, they're like stunned, they're like, you mean we could, oh God, we can encompass, and this will be
Yeah. Well, the first thing you do is contact me.
Yes.
Okay. And we do projects that start every September and January.
Okay.
And they last until the end of April for the winter semester, and until December for the fall semester. But contact me. My email address is langed, Langed, @gvsu.edu, or proflange, PROFLANGE, @gmail.com. That would be the best way. And then what I'll do is I'll talk to you on the phone and figure out, okay, what needs do you see?
Right.
And usually in non-COVID, I would sit down and talk with you for an hour and try to figure out and say, well, that might be 300 or 400 hours.
I
worth
know,
of
that's
work.
what you're saying. I'm like, that's going to be 3. Okay, so what are we going to do with the other 500? I'm like,
Right,
oh my gosh.
right.
Well, maybe, like I said.
And then
yeah.
and a lot of times I'll tell the students, now you go visit them and say, and sometimes the students, hey, you know what else we could do? You know what else we could do? And I'll
Right.
sometimes have to rein them in and say, but you have to get it done.
Yeah,
And
really.
so let's do these 5 things, because after 10 years of doing this and 100 and some projects, I sort of know what a team can do. I'm not perfect on project time estimation, but I'm pretty
Right.
good. And I'll say, let's do these 5 and make sure you get them done. Now, if you want to add in 1 or 2 more at the end,
That is
then
true.
that's true.
Well, even when
But-
you were looking at my website, you were saying, you know, being a nonprofit, there's certain requirements that you know that my website was over 10, you know, it was 5 years old already. You're
Right.
like, do you realize you have to have this on your website? You said being a nonprofit. Have you discovered that on some people that aren't up to, what do you call it, code or whatever? You know
Right,
what I'm
right.
saying?
Well, there's federal regulations
Yes.
that you have to make sure it's ADA compliant. Every website that has to be that's in this country has to be ADA compliant. You have to have tags on the pictures. You have to, and there's ways to make that. You have to have a privacy policy. If you're
Is
ever
there any grandfathered in? We're not grandfathered in on anything?
no,
Oh, God. Well, I'm just looking at this going, I mean, that is the handicap. Is that what
right,
we're talking about?
Americans with
Okay.
Disabilities Act.
Okay.
You have to have a privacy policy telling people what you're doing with their information. You have to, there's a lot of things. Yeah, first of all, you want to make sure that the website is mobile compliant because half the web traffic is being fed by these things now.
I was going to say, I'm on that more than I'm in anything like that.
I know it.
Yeah.
People think, well, think about on a 21-inch screen. No, don't think about it. Think about how it's going to look like on a 5.5-inch screen.
I know.
And how it compresses. Are things, when you do get on a mobile screen, are buttons overlapping one another or stuff like that. So that is called responsive. And you have to make sure your whole website is very responsive.
I didn't even realize, and I did have mine mobily, and all of a sudden somebody opened it up and said, it needs to get fixed again.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm going, oh, okay. So things have happened. You might have added pictures. You might have things, I don't know. It could just go a little haywire. I don't know,
Yep.
right?
Yep, very
you
much
know,
so.
on that one. So you need somebody kind of monitor. But I really appreciate you being here today because I felt like you were such a relief to me. I know you've
Oh.
helped many people in that I refer to you as Pamela because we met a few years back. And
Yep, organization
Yeah, then of course the
helped.
veterans group,
Oh, yeah.
you know, veterans program of West Michigan. They're very happy. They had a
Yes.
very old one. And so there's all kinds of, I mean, I'm going to hit up Alan over here. WCET, that's a nonprofit, right, Alan? You know, we would be a great project to do for updating the website, getting it up
Right.
mobily and all that kind of stuff. But I wanted to let people know about your services. I think it was wonderful. And I also really appreciate the manual to walk me through the training. And I do think with virtual, I do think there's probably going to be some people out there that probably could
yeah.
tap into helping your students, helping them do that
Very much.
much better because I think that's here to stay.
Central location.
Right.
So we can save commuting time. We can,
Well, people that even just come down over the years just say I couldn't be there, maybe because they had a sick child,
Right.
And now
But
all
you-
of a sudden, now with
Boom.
this, how easy we've made it for virtually, like I can zoom in, and
Yep.
that's going to be the key word after. I think it's just here to stay. Zoom in. I can zoom in, and I remember just saying I can't be there because I'm home for some reason. I'm waiting for my cable guy or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what
Yep.
I'm saying?
Yep.
But I can zoom in, and I think that's here to stay. And I think people that are in leadership and that are responsible for getting that out, I think one of the fallbacks is that they're afraid they don't know everything about it. And if you could teach them, they would probably be happier if you got that together for them. Exactly. A lot of nonprofits, we want them to thrive. They do very good.
yes,
For them, there's a reason why they started because they saw a need.
they saw a need.
Yes.
They saw people in need. And,
And
there
if-
will always be people in need.
You're right. Is there anything else you want to go say before we say goodbye?
No.
Okay.
Just give me a call, please. My name is David K. Lange. If you actually just type that into Google,
Okay.
David K. Lange, and you will see my website, which I use for all my classes, but that would be a very quick way to be able to contact me.
All right. All right. We want to praise Professor Lange here
Thank you.
for coming.
Thank you very much.
This is Pamela Kine from Grand Tap Media Business TV, and we will catch you next time. Take care,
Okay.
everyone. Wave. Ah.